Hello there, and welcome back to the booth here at the World Magic Cup. Marshall Sutcliffe with Simon Gertz. And Simon, welcome.
Hello.
Are you ready?
I'm so ready.
You ready for a little unified modern action? We've got Chinese Taipei versus really our next door neighbor here in the Netherlands, Belgium. Very close, just about an hour drive away from most of these players. And both teams undefeated coming into the round. They swept the first rounds of Limited and picked up that first round of Modern as well. So let's head into the feature match area. The players are ready for round 5. Hello and welcome to coverage of the World Magic Cup. I'm Marshall Sutcliffe in the booth with Simon Gertz. We're in Rotterdam, the Netherlands here, and we're in round number 5. This is Unified Modern. We're going to start off on our middle table. That's table B. We've got Hwang Yung-Ming that's playing against Branko Niernik. Now this matchup here, Simon, is Jund. Deck you've played a fair bit of in your time. He's playing against Naya Burn.
Yeah, Naya Burn is something that we will not see too often this weekend, but it's still a super powerful deck, simply because you can almost beat any deck that stumbles in their development.
Now, you said we won't see it much. We had a kind of a snapshot from Frank Karsten and you of the metagame. It just gobbles up all the lightning bolts, or why are we not going to see this Naya deck that much? It
takes lightning bolt, but it also takes stomping ground, which is quite a big cost. So ultimately, I think if you look at the tier 1 decks in Modern, this is just a little too far down the list.
Gotcha. Well, a nice start here for Branko, though. He's got, right off the top, a Wild Nacatl. Well, I should say he had a Wild Nacatl because it just got struck by lightning thanks to good old-fashioned lightning bolt there from Hwang Yung-Ming. Also should note here, by the way, Simon, Chinese Taipei, you know, they are our original champions. When we switched over to the World Magic Cup style of tournament here, you know, we had Worlds for a long time that did have a team element to it, but this is its own separate tournament, you know, the World Magic Cup, and they won the first one back in 2012.
Yeah, and I think it's fair to say that it was a surprise victory.
Oh, absolutely.
They were not on anybody's list.
No. But once again, a very good start here, 4-0, putting them in prime position to advance to day 2, and maybe even take one of those coveted slots where you get kind of like a bye.
Yeah, you
top
want
16.
You want to make the top 16 because you will just sleep that much better tonight.
All right, looks like a Thoughtseize now from Hwang. Let's see what he's taking a look at. Whoa! Only one land there for Branko, but look at that hand. Rift Bolt, Lightning Bolt, 2 different spells that cost 2 mana doing 4 and 3 damage, and then, you know, one of the better cards in the deck as well with that Eidolon.
Completely understandable why Branko is happy to keep this kind of hand. If he draws a fetch land, all the spells in his hand are live.
Yep. And remember, he also had the turn 1 Wild Nacatl, and he even, I don't know when he drew it, but he's even got a Goblin Guide on the table right now as well. So this is just a beautiful hand for him. It looks like it was, in fact, the Eidolon that left for Branko.
It's kind of the most scary card when you play against burn decks. It will damage the player that plays it, but usually a burn deck like Naya Burn is just set up to raise.
Yes, and we see that here. And it looks like Branko's going to go for maximum damage here. He's going to play a Tarka's Command to get an additional damage with the guide and then do the 3 as well, dropping Hwang down to 10. Now, he did hit a land off of the guide.
Yeah. The whole idea is that the card advantage provided by Goblin Guide is too slow to matter. And it's good for Branko that this is game 1. He can basically use his anti-life gain spells very aggressively. He doesn't have to hold them because there are potential sideboard cards that he has to consider.
Sure. And you saw that. He wasted no time there. And his hand is now Lightning Bolt, Boros Charm, Rift Bolt. His opponent's at 9. We do not need Frank Carson to run the numbers on that one.
The problem is, even if you know about it, and in this case, it is known from the Thoughtseize.
That's right.
Also, not the best card to play against Burn. There's just not much you can do.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a quick victory here. Now, this is interesting, though. He's going to have to use Liliana of the Veil to take down the Goblin Guide, the steady stream of damage. But now it's going to force Bronco to decide, well, do I actually need to worry about Liliana? Because she's going to start taking away actual burn spells out of the hand of Bronco here.
Yeah, should it come to that? Because
I think it might not come to that.
Bronco has drawn a card that he's happy to discard. So what he's doing here is he's suspending Riftbolt and preparing for a win next turn, unless there is another Thoughtseize-like effect, Inquisition of Kozilek.
Yeah, so we're going to see a land discarded from Bronco. Then on end step, he's going to go Lightning Bolt you. Then Riftbolt's going to resolve, and then Boros Charm cleans up the mess.
Mm-hmm.
And a Tarmogoyf not going to get the job done here. And there's a Lightning Bolt that Huang has to know is coming. Same thing with the Boros Charm. You add that all up, and it is into the negative. So Bronco says, that was easy. Game one, often a smooth ride, as it was in this case here. But that was a quick one.
Burn actually a good deck to prey on, John.
Yes, we'll see what happens post-sideboard. For now, though, we'll be back after these messages.
Play for your chance to win sweet prizes at the Standard Showdown. Sleeve up your biggest, baddest, most busted deck and throw down at a participating local game store. 4 weeks only, every Saturday from November 26th through December 17th. Find tournaments near you at magic.wizards.com/Standard Showdown.
Put your game to the test at a Grand Prix. These Magic celebrations are headlined by 2-day open tournaments with the best players in your region, as well as top Magic pros from around the world. Find an upcoming Grand Prix near you at magic.wizards.com/Grand Prix.
Hello there, and welcome back to the feature match area here in Rotterdam. We're going to jump over to our front table here, and Simon, I got to say, looking at the matchup sheet here, it's a doozy. We've got Jerome Bastion. He's from Belgium on Goryo's Vengeance. He's playing against Hen Chin Yao on Boggles. So not a lot of interaction here, I'd assume.
Two decks you didn't expect to see a lot of, and it looks more interactive than we thought.
Wow. All right. So it looks like somewhere underneath all of that, there's a Dryad Arbor that has been the recipient of a Rancor, I believe. Yeah, there's a Rancor under there. And 2 Daybreak Coronets. And it looks like Jerome's actually going to lose here. He's double blocking with these 2 worms that were left over from World Spine Worm, but one of them's going to get Path to Exile, clearing the way for trample damage to finish off Jerome.
That was a 9-power trample creature, so blocking with a single 5/5 is still leaves the Belgian still lethal.
Yeah. So, yeah, it looks like we came in just for the furious finish from that one, but kind of cool. World Spine Worm leftover sitting on the battlefield, Daybreak Coronets on 1/1 land somehow.
Yeah, usually you don't survive the hit by World Spine Worm.
Right.
And the tokens that come with it. But the Boggles deck can actually raise very, very effectively.
Okay, well, that leaves us to come back to, looks like what was our first match here.
Yes, the Inquisition already took a Monastery Swift Spear out of Branko's hand.
Yeah, but there's an immediate replacement. And we didn't get to see that get taken, but the way that Huang said, ugh, it sounded like maybe he drew it. Branko might have drawn it. Okay, well, let's see if Team Chinese Taipei can put up some blocking, maybe some removal. Game 1, not particularly competitive. Branko really did run over Huang on that game.
Yeah, there wasn't much to do, especially because Junt had no way to raise what Burn was doing. So ultimately, you just don't have enough life gain and discard effects in game 1 to really compete with that.
Yeah, I'm looking at the sideboard plan here for Branko. He's got a Deflecting Palm, 4 Destructive Revelry, Grim Lavamancer, a Lightning Helix. He'll probably want that. 3 Path, 2 Rest in Peace, and 3 Skullcrack. So he actually goes more aggressive out of the sideboard. He doesn't have any of those life gain spells or the Obstinate Balos or those type of things that you sometimes see out of the Jund sideboards.
Well, that was the Burn. That was the Burn sideboard, right?
Oh, sorry.
So
thank you.
That's actually
that makes a lot more sense.
That's actually going to be more Skullcracks to counteract life gain.
All right. So let me take a look here. I'm glad you're on this one.
That's what I'm here for, Marshall.
All right, so let's see here. Ancient Grudge, Collective Brutality, Golgari Charm, 3 Kitchen Finks. Okay, that's pretty good. That's it, though. Leyline of the Voids, Night of Souls, Betrayal, and Shatterstorm. So nothing...
Yeah.
That isn't... You sometimes do see people that are very concerned about losing to Burn, and they'll bring in a whole bunch of sweet stuff.
But not in Unified Modern,
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Yep.
You cannot really afford to play these really narrow cards. I do like the 2 Collective Brutalities, though, because in conjunction with the Kitchen Finks, you do have a lot of ways to prevent your opponent from burning you out. Killing a 2 toughness creature and forcing the opponent to discard a 4 damage spell, that's a big tempo swing.
Okay, well, here's a Boros Charm to knock Huang down to 12.
Still not a bad Thoughtseize.
Yeah, that was in response to the Thoughtseize, which is now going to take away an Atarka's command and just leave Branko with a Lightning Bolt and a pair of lands in hand. So, okay. That doesn't look too bad.
Yeah, but life totals are not updated yet.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think Huang's down to 12.
-2 from the Thoughtseize. Yeah, maybe.
Yes. So 10?
Yeah, I would say 14,000.
No, okay, he's at 12. All right. Play a Tarmogoyf. There you go. Now all of a sudden we have a clock, and it's also just a card that's difficult to get rid of for Branko.
Yeah.
He only has that lightning bolt in hand.
Youngming actually happy to pay 2 life for it, which of course is a costly price to pay. This Jund deck list has a number of scavenging oozes in the main deck, which is not nothing out of the ordinary, and especially smart in a dredge heavy field.
It's a lot of pressure riding on this Tarmogoyf's shoulders, assuming that Tarmogoyfs have shoulders. It's got to finish things off. Uh-oh. Searing Blaze plus Lightning Bolt?
Yeah, that's what Nerink obviously decided to go for. I like this because it will give him so much more time to draw into the burn spells that Jund cannot deal with.
Yeah, it does leave him on empty. He has nothing else going on, and Youngming knows that as well. Though this is a nice follow-up for him. If he gets to have the Scavenging Ooze survive, he can start gaining, well, probably just 1 life a turn. He's only got 1 green mana source at the moment, but still, it gets big. It counteracts some of the burn spells eventually, and we know Bronco is top decking. Like, that was all he had. And in fact, Youngming also knows that. And it looks like he's just got a pair of lands in hand. So
Youngming not on much more with an Anger of the Gods as the only non-land in his hand. But an attack for 3, an attack for 4, and an attack for 5, that's beatable.
It is, and it also puts him out of burn range of like 2 burn spells in a row, even a 4 on a 3 or a 4 on a 4. Wild Nakatl off the top for Bronco. That is not going to be big enough to rumble.
That's actually quite a bad draw.
Yeah, it doesn't match up well against really anything here.
One of the reasons why I'm not the biggest fan of this deck is because you don't top deck very well. Unless your opponent is on 3 or 6, you're leaving yourself the out to draw into those burn spells. Otherwise, being on 8, you know that you would need a miracle 2 or 3 consecutive draw steps.
Ooh, Tarmogoyf off the top here. Though it is a little bit awkward here for Youngming with just that 1 green mana source, because he would like to just keep activating that Scavenging Ooze every turn. I mean, he can threaten an attack and an activation and still get in for 3 while casting the Tarmogoyf, as Bronco can't afford to block.
Yeah, but as you said, it is a bit awkward. And what do you do if there's actually a block?
Yeah, then you really are forced to just use the Scavenging Ooze here, right?
And then you don't know if you're running straight into a Searing Blaze, right?
Good point, yeah.
We know Brancor is on a fetch land, but still, that's quite relevant.
Yeah, I think Youngming knows that too. I think that fetch land was actually in hand when he thought seized him. Yeah, speaking of the poor top decks late, these lands have been super punishing for Bronco, and he hasn't even drawn that many. He's drawn a total of 5, but they've been. It just feels like if 2 of those lands were spells, he just would have won. Such a delicate balance with this burn deck.
And Youngming can actually go for lethal here if he dares to do so, pumping his Scavenging Ooze so that it's out of Anger of the Gods range.
Yeah, I think Youngming has perfect information here, and he just goes for it.
I agree. What is the downside, really? Sure, you have to be careful that there is not an Atarkas command, but that at least wouldn't kill your creatures. So
yeah.
Ultimately, I think that this is a really, really good way to close out the game.
Yeah, and like I said, I think he knows that last card in hand for Bronco. So that does, in fact, get the job done here, and Chinese Taipei is going to even things up on our main table, Table B. So just to give you a snapshot of the bigger picture here, that means that Chinese Taipei took 2 of the first 3 game ones.
Let's go.
Actually, I should reverse that. Belgium took 2 of the first 3 game ones, but now Chinese Taipei has evened things up on Table B. We've also got Table C coming up for you here. Wang Haoshan, you'll be familiar with that name if you follow high-level Magic, and Peter Vieran as well, somebody that we see out at the Pro Tour all the time. They're playing the Infect Mirror here.
Yeah. Good thing that they're both playing Gitaxian Probes, because we will get a good look at their hands.
There it is. This is game number 2 with Peter Vieran up a game. You do see one of the Really nice sideboard and even sometimes main deck cards there.
This is a really nice opening hand with the Twisted Image to deal with Noble Hierarch and Spellskite, depending on what the opponent has. It's lacking in pump spells, so Viren will hope to find those with the Gitaxian probes.
Yeah, those Twisted Images doing serious work here. He's only got one coming out of the sideboard. He had one in the main deck as well.
And he just drew it as well. So 0 power creatures are now in really big danger.
Right, and there's two very relevant, there's Spellskite and Noble Hierarch. Both well worth killing.
Sometimes you can even use it as a pump spell.
Yeah.
If you've used Pendlehaven on your 1/1 and you're just missing that 1 point of damage. Yeah, it doesn't happen often, but it's actually possible.
That is pretty sweet. And you get to draw a card.
Yeah. Well, if the opponent is dead, that
While
doesn't matter too much, but yes.
Oh, it matters. Style points count, Simon. All right, there's Noble Hierarch for Peter.
Peter is almost transforming into a control deck. He has a Dispel, he has the 2 Twisted Images. He wants to have one threat and protect it, and he's not really concerned about combo killing as fast as possible.
Let's see if he actually has that threat. We can take a look. Yeah, he's got a Glistener Elf. Ooh, Blighted Agent, though.
Yes, and Huang Haoshan's hand is a lot more pump heavy. So if you take a look, the potential for explosiveness is much higher.
And speaking of take a look, that's exactly what Peter Viren's going to do. Let's get a little update on that hand.
Twisted Image on the other side actually threatening that Hierarch.
Yeah, this is going to be a game that's going to reward the more experienced Infect player quite a bit, I think. They both have seen each other's hands on the last 3 turns. So turn, they've all cast Gitaxian probes. There's a Glistener Elf now from Peter.
Something to keep in mind is that these Infect decks traditionally don't have unlimited amount of blue mana available. So often you are restricted to 1 blue spell a turn. Not counting Gitaxian Probe, of course.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and taking a look at Peter's, he's got 2 green producing lands, and then that 1 Noble Hierarch that we know could be shot down with a Twisted Image here.
I'm reasonably certain that you would want to prevent that because the Hierarch is so valuable as a recursive damage source, and you would prevent your opponent from drawing the card.
Sounds like Through the Breach got there over on table A to even things up. That's Jerome Bastion and Han Chin Yao. They're even at 1 game apiece. So we get game 3s on table A and B, and we'll see how this one goes.
Yeah, this is an interesting feature match where nothing is decided yet.
Yeah. Both of these teams in excellent position at 4-0. If you're rooting for them at home, you should feel pretty confident about their chances to come back and play tomorrow. But there's still a lot to play for today. We mentioned it at the onset, Simon, but top 16 really has a big bonus.
Really interesting stack here. Twisted Image on Noble Hierarch and a Blossoming Defense trying to save it. But Vines of Vastwood has an ability which can target your opponent's creatures.
That's right.
So now that had to be dispelled. Otherwise, things would have worked out in Hao Shan's favor.
That's right. But it did get dispelled. So the Noble Hierarch will stick around. Like you said, really pulling 2 very critical roles here in this game as a recursive damage source and a source of blue mana. And Wang's going to get in for a bunch of damage here. He's going to use 2 mutagenic growths plus the 1/1 base. So that's 5 poison counters that Peter Viren's going to pick up here just from that 1 hit. That's halfway there.
Yeah, and resolving those spells while Peter was unable to respond, which is the main idea here is that you want to fill your graveyard for Become Immense. So now there are 5 cards in the graveyard. Become Immense will only cost 1, and you've already drawn a Dispel. So all of these things combined could mean that Hao Shan wins the game next turn if Peter doesn't, well, either win himself, which looking at his hand is not going to happen.
Not going to happen with that hand.
Or has a really good bluff going that makes Hao Shan scared of going for it.
By the way, helping out Peter there, that's actually his brother, Pascal Viren. They both qualified to make it to the World Magic Cup. Peter's the captain, but Pascal won a World Magic Cup qualifier.
I played against both of these in high-level competitive events over 10 years ago. So these guys have tons of Grand Prix and Pro Tour experience.
I asked Pascal who was the better player, and he said, I used to be, he is now.
That's fair.
Yeah.
And Branko Nijrink is one of Belgium's finest. So this is actually a team, when you look at the team composition, who can really present 3 really experienced players in their
very
form.
few. You will see 2 on a lot of teams. You know, the captain is generally going to be one of those marks, and then sometimes you'll just get a known pro or a well-known player that have won the second one. But the third one, that's a tough spot to fill.
This is the crucial turn here.
Yes.
And it's not only whether Hao Shan thinks that his Become Immense will resolve or not, it's also about the fact that Hao Shan is being raised at the same time.
That's right. 4 poison now.
So you might not actually have that many options other than going for it.
Yeah, and Hao Shan's going to have to really think to himself, well, if I don't go for it, what happens? What does this game look like? Am I blocking? Do I have a way to defend myself? He probably doesn't. He drew a Glistener Elf for the turn.
No, if you're blocking, I think you're losing.
Yeah.
There's already three points of poison are already on the board, and then you're looking at 3 other cards in hand. That's just really dangerous.
Yeah. So it looks like Hao Shan's going to start off before attacks and see if this resolves. He's going to go for Become Immense. But that did prompt a fetch land from Peter Viren, which means perhaps it doesn't resolve? We can look at his hand here. He does not have a way to interact currently.
No, the only out I see is to Twisted Image, just to draw another card.
Yes.
And hope that it's a Vines of Vastwood,
Yeah.
which we saw earlier used with exactly the same mode, preventing your opponent from pumping their own creatures.
That's right. Now, Hao Shan has a copy of Vines of Vastwood of his own, so he can fight that fight.
Yeah, he could prevent his creature from being targeted by the Vines of Vastwood of Peter.
Right.
So Vines of Vastwood is actually one of the more complicated cards.
It really is. It's a
especially in
one.
the Infect Mirror.
Yeah. But this does look like it's going to work out for Hao Shan, right?
I believe so. And Peter still hasn't even drawn the card that he would need to.
Right, to
draw
initiate this whole sequence. Well, Peter said, okay, you did it. And yes, he did in fact do it. So that is once again going to be a game 3. And Simon, we've got game 3s across the board here in Chinese Taipei versus Belgium here in round 5. So, from our seat, that's kind of sweet.
That's exciting, yeah.
I like
and
that.
In the Infect Mirror, it should be crucial who goes first.
Yes,
That seems very valuable. Same in Junt against Burn, to be honest. And Boggles against Goryo's Vengeance, that's a bit of a different animal.
So I think we are going to go back to our middle table, table B. We've been following this one from game 1, and here's Bronco on the play with Naya Burn.
Winning the game where you were on the play with John was a necessity, and now you have to show that you can defeat Naya Burn on the draw.
Now these first few turns are going to be very, very critical to seeing if Bronco can put himself in a position to just run over Huang Yunming before he gets himself stabilized and maybe gets a life gain going or something like that.
You want to look very closely at how much damage is Jund forced to take with their lands. You want to see how mana efficient they deal with the first threats, and then how they stabilize. And of course, Kitchen Things, which we just saw in Yungmin's hand, is the best way to do that.
Interestingly, he's going to find a swamp here. He's facing down a 2/2 Wild Nikado right now. And it will stay that way. This is going to be Inquisition of Kozilek, and let's see what Bronco's working with. Now he's got a nice one. Look at that. A Goblin Guide, a Lightning Bolt, a Path, and an Eidolon, and a land. So
this is so difficult to beat.
Yeah, how do you beat that?
It's 3 power on turn 1, followed by an Eidolon. So you know it will deal damage. Then you still have the haste of Goblin Guide, a burn spell, and a way to deal with Tarmogoyf or Kitchen Things.
Yeah, that is a heck of a hand for Bronco. He is going to lose the Eidolon, but still, that hand's so good. There's another Lightning Bolt off the top for him as well. So now he gets to play Goblin Guide.
If Branko stays on 2 or 3 lands for this game, he will just draw so many burn spells that it's almost impossible to keep up with.
Right.
You kind of want to create a situation where Naya Burn is allowed to flood out of the game.
14. Yeah.
Goblin Guide does not hit a land. In fact, hits Liliana. He did his little good luck rub, but he already knew what that one was. Now, he does get to play a Tarmogoyf here, though, on turn 2. I mean, this is just blisteringly fast from Bronco.
Also, what do? If you fetch a forest here, your Terminate is more or less dead.
Yeah, it's like 2 turns away. He can play the Ravine and then cast it the next turn, but that's just way too late.
The Ravine might actually be a big problem in this kind of hand.
Yeah, you mentioned that we were going to keep an eye on how much damage he took. Also, just lands tapped.
Yeah, that's a huge tempo loss.
Yeah.
On the draw against this kind of start.
Okay, Verdant Catacombs. What do you get with it? He's got the forest. All right, he's just going to have to live with it. He says, well, you're going to have to do all the damage to me. I'm going to take as little as possible for my lands.
I agree with it, but it's still kind of sad when you look at your hand and you can't even cast most of the cards in there.
Yeah, well, the good news is he is going to get a mountain because things going to get pathed right now. The bad news, of course, is that means he's taking 5 damage. And it looks like I lied. He actually decided to get a swamp with it to cast that Liliana, I guess.
Also, there isn't always a mountain in these Jund lists.
He may not have one. Okay.
Because you want the basics for Blood Moon protection.
Right, of course.
I should be able to tell you, though. I see 2 swamps and a forest and no mountain in this deck.
So those are all the basics in his deck on the battlefield, then. Tarmogoyf is revealed. And he does still have that red mana source in hand. It just doesn't feel like this game's going to go long enough. He just took 5. There's 10 burn in hand for Bronco. There's nothing you can do here, right?
No. Especially because it's 10 burn damage that can be deployed over the course of the next 2 turns.
Yes. And by the way, the 5 damage on the ground just isn't going anywhere currently either. So, yeah, you gotta give it to Bronco Niernik here. He is... Yes, convincingly winning Game 3. Both of the games that he was on the play for really came together well for him. Game 2, he was in it. He just drew a few too many lands, perhaps.
Yes, and this is where you have to just wait and see what happens. If you draw 5-6 lands with this kind of deck, of course it's too much.
Right. Way too slow here.
Even a single lightning bolt would be lethal at this point.
That's right. How about 2 of them? Bolt. And that's the match going to Bronco and Niernik and Belgium. Now, the round, though, is still yet to be decided as we've got Game 3s across the board here. 1 to the good for Belgium means that if Jerome Bastone or Peter Vieren can pick up their match, then boom, they're going to be 5-0 to start things off. Here on day 1 at the World Magic Cup, you can take a look at our feature match area. It's a nice little setup with the flags. Very festive. And that means we're going to go back to table A. Now, you said that this is a bit of a different beast than what we were seeing with the mirror and then the burn versus Jund. We've got Boggles versus Goryo's Vengeance.
It's funny, Marshall, because both of these decks are trying to play a non-interactive game. Boggles just wants to create this almost indestructible hexproof monster, which a lot of decks just can't deal with. And Jerome, on the other hand, will try to reanimate a Grizzlebrand and do just the most crazy things with it. Wordspan Worm is not even everything that this deck is
That's
capable
the tame
yes.
outcome.
So, in a sense, I would say the Goryo's Vengeance deck in this particular matchup is the more unfair deck.
It does seem to be, seemingly much more unfair when it does its thing. I would assume that the Boggles deck is more consistent at deploying its game plan.
Yeah, the redundancy is much higher.
Right. The last time we checked in on this match, we saw the Boggles win. Jerome taking advantage of his sideboard in game 2, though, using engineered explosives and Anger of the Gods to wipe away a bunch of augmenting enchantments and then clean up the mess.
Really nice use of sideboard cards that are also very useful in other matchups. So, Anger of the Gods, for example, you would want against Dredge.
Yeah. All right, so there's Worldspine Worm hitting the graveyard from Faithless Looting. You have to discard another card to it. It looks like a land. And Worldspine Worm has one of those clauses where it gets shuffled in rather than sitting in your graveyard.
It's too good to just reanimate.
Yeah.
On the one hand, Goryo's Vengeance doesn't rely too much on its life total. So you can take a few hits of a Bogle that has been enchanted. On the other hand, if you're trying to go off with Grizzlebrand, you do usually want to get those 2 activations out of it. So you can't just wait until you're on 1 and then do your thing.
Yeah, getting it 6 or below prevents that. All right, Hyena, Umbra, and Ranker are going to go on the Slippery Bogle, making it 4 power. +1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, and now it has Hexproof and Totem Armor. So
yes,
it will not die very easily.
There was a Goryo's Vengeance off the top for Jerome, but he is facing down a sideboard card against him as well. That's a Tormod's Crypt.
Talking to players yesterday, a lot of them said, we are playing Dredge because we think Tormod's Crypt is not good enough. We can beat Tormod's Crypt. We can be faster, or we can defeat it despite it cleaning out the graveyard once.
Okay.
If you try to cast Goryo's Vengeance, that's a bit different.
Yeah. Yeah, it basically just gets to blank the first time that you go for that, right?
Yeah, unless you have some weird way of instant speed discarding after the Tormod's Crypt resolve. Of course, this is when you start relying more on Through the Breach.
Yeah. Yeah, just getting it from your hand rather than using the graveyard. Well, another 4.
Yeah, but on the other hand, I would be really happy to see a turn of just Horizon Canopy, draw, go.
Yeah.
That tells me that the Boggles player doesn't have much else.
Yeah, I mean, all things being equal, Jerome probably feels like he's in a reasonable position, but honestly, this is tough, right? I mean, that Tormod's Crypt is going to make his life very difficult. You know, needing to set up all the pieces in the right sequence and everything in the right place and then having to just do it all over again. It's just going to buy a lot of time for Henshin Yao to just kill him.
I think Bastogne doesn't even want to win through the graveyard anymore.
Yeah, he's just off of that.
Yeah, he's just going to go up to 5 mana with the help of Simian Spirit Guides. That could be as early as now.
Yes.
And then put the Worldspine Worm right into play.
Okay. He can do that now.
Because he has the second guide, yeah.
I guess he's just digging with Manamorphose to see if he hits a Grizzlebrand instead.
What's color? Black red. Red.
Yeah, they're just sorting out which colors he's going to make with Manamorphose before drawing his card with it. It's another World Spine Worm off the top. Okay, I'm down for it. I want to see a World Spine Worm.
Oh, absolutely, and that's what you play and build this deck for, right?
Yes.
It's not. You're not going for it.
Right. You didn't come here to not play World Spine Worm, Jerome. So let's see it.
We can take a look at what Jin Yao is working with, and you can tell it's not much. And
Wow.
that Torment script stops one part of the combo, but not the other.
We'll see if Jerome decides to go for it here.
As we've discussed, he doesn't have a ton of time, but of course he could go down lower without immediately losing. Even if Jin Yao would have another aura, that would not be lethal.
Right. I think he's going to do it.
I think we'll see World Spine Worm.
I think so too. He's got the 2 Simian Spirit Guides pulled to the front of his hand, but he is consulting with teammates here as well. This is at that point.
That's also the
He's really
advantage.
teasing us too, isn't he? All right, there we go. 5 through the breach. Which one of these 2 World Spine Worms would I like to put into play? How about this one?
There it is.
15U. And as we know, Han Chin Yao has nothing.
Han Chin Yao would need a Path to Exile.
Yes, and I'm sure that was the card that Jerome was consulting with his teammates about. This is not good news, though, for Chinese Taipei, because he's getting hit down to 3, and then you can read World Spine Worm there. When it's put in a graveyard from anywhere, shuffle it, but when it dies, put 3 5/5 green worm creature tokens. But this is just a big hit.
Yeah, you have 2 useless Torment script. Bastogne knew, or Team Belgium knew, that they weren't beating a Path to Exile.
Right.
Because what becomes better when you wait a turn? You have less life, and your opponent had more draw steps to find the path.
Right.
Without the Path to Exile, there might actually be a way to stabilize if you manage to give your creature lifelink. That could be a super interesting situation. But so far, I haven't seen a Daybreak Coronet on the Boggles side of things.
All right, so Jerome is going to trigger when this dies effect, but Han Chin Yao is going to respond with Tormod's Crypt to make sure that the worm doesn't get shuffled back in. Not super relevant at the moment, but he got something out of that crypt, especially with the backup crypt in hand.
Yeah, it's questionable what he really got out of that, but
yes,
now this is the deciding.
Yes, and that in fact does it. So that actually finishes the entire round, and big high fives from Team Belgium. And why not? They are 5-0 to start this thing off. And like you said, their team roster goes deep. They're putting forth 3 experienced, well-known players. When I talked to Pascal, he told me the last PT he played in, it's the one you won. It was in PT. In fact, he told me that he helped Luis get to 16-0 during the Swiss portion of that.
I played one
involuntarily.
I played one of the Virens at that Pro Tour.
It was probably him. They might have both been there, but Pascal definitely played there. Okay, well, that is going to do it for this round. We'll be back right after this.
Welcome back to the news desk. Here we are towards the back end of round 5. We've got stuff going on out on the floor. We'll be with Brian David Marshall in just a little bit. But some scores on the doors. Belgium 5-0, Canada 5-0. Two great teams on paper. Two great teams in reality thus far. They're well into day 2. More importantly, they're cruising towards a top 16 slot. Why is that so important? Tomorrow, when 48 teams go into pools of 6, the top 2 teams, that's 1 to 16 spread across the tournament, get a bye. 17 to 48 will face off in 16 elimination matches to see who will join the top 2 seeds in each group as we head in then to double elimination play. So 16 elimination matches will start your World Magic Cup Saturday here from Rotterdam. But the top 16 seeds, they're going to be safe. Right now, the two 5-0s, Belgium and Canada, they are in great shape to avoid having to play in the carnage of round 1 tomorrow morning. Now, that means that Chinese Taipei have their first loss, they're 4-1, and Wales have their first loss. They lost to Canada on table 2 off camera just a few minutes ago. Now, the Dominican Republic, what a great story this is turning into. They are up to 4-1. They have not had a great history in this event, but they are carving up their own little slice of Magic history. They're into day 2 at 4-1 for sure, and maybe they will be one of the top 16 seeds. That's because Scotland, after being 3-0 in limited, are now back at 3-2, but they are still in good shape for day 2. So what's going on out on the floor? More results coming in, but we've got live Magic action to bring you. BDM, where are you and what are you looking at?
I'm right by table 3. We're watching Chile again. This time they're playing against Iceland, and Paredes is up against Einar Baldvinsson, and it is a matchup of Jeskai versus Jund.
Right, now Einar August Baldvinsson, he is the Icelandic national captain, BDM, on the left of screen there. He's played in the World Magic Cup before. He was part of the team that made the top 8 in 2012.
Which was also in the Netherlands, if I'm not mistaken? No,
that was Indianapolis,
that was the
2012.
Gen Con, yeah. And we just tuned in time to see the hand extended. And Iceland wins that match. Let's go see what else is going on out here on the floor. I can tell you, I see over there Team USA getting interviewed by Nate Price. They're continuing to do well.
Do you know if they won, BDM? Do you know if USA won?
I believe they did from what was going on in my ear, but I've been paying attention elsewhere right now. We have a matchup here between Turkey and Finland.
Right, so Finland on the left of the screen, Turkey led by Kana Aktas on the right.
And this is Dredge versus Obzon.
Right, Finland came in with Lantern Control in seat A, Dredge here that you're seeing in seat B, and Infect, Dredge in seat B, and Blue-Red Kiln Fiend was their third deck.
Definitely angling to get the deck tax here.
Right. As for Turkey, they were much more straightforward. Infect in seat A, Abzan in seat B, Dredge in seat C.
You know, we see an actual Golgari Grave Troll in play. 6 counters on it, attacking with a prized amalgam.
Just to let you know, BDM, you are watching one of the last 2 matches in this round, so not a lot left.
I'm looking to see what the other match might be. I'm wondering if that just hasn't been reported yet. Not really seeing anything else out on the floor.
Right. Yeah. Once we're done here, BDM will come back to the desk. So let's just close out the round with Finland against Turkey.
So 3 prized amalgams, a Narcomoeba, and a Golgari Grave Troll all walk into a bar. And some Lingering Souls block as best they can here.
So I've been joined once again at the news desk by Hall of Famer Luis Scott Vargas. Luis, using my skill and judgment, there seems to be quite a lot on the Dredge side of the table.
Oh yeah, it looks like Golgari Grave Troll and 3 prized amalgam just cleaned up a bunch of Lingering Souls. So barring Obzon having a sweeper, which would be unexpected, Dredge is going to take this game.
Smash
there's the attack,
from Finland.
And there's the hand. Finland gets the match, and I think that might be it for the match that's got on the floor.
So there you have it, Finland against Turkey. Finland claimed that one. Dredge for the win, gets the job done. Now, they were in the middle of the pack, so many teams at 2 and 3, 3 and 2. The 3 and 2s may well be into day 2 already, because even if they lost their last 2, they might be in towards the better end of the tie breaks. We're starting to think that 2 and 5 will not make it at all. Maybe there's some 3 and 4s that miss out. Now, Japan, with their 2 Hall of Famers, 0-1, 0-2, 0-3, 0-4, and then the bye in round 5. The wheels came off from the get-go for one of the pre-tournament favourites, Japan, very likely not making day 2. It's not certain yet, because with that bye, they could win their last 2 rounds and get up as far as 3 and 4. So they're going to be really looking at tie breaks if they can actually win a round of Magic. Just an astonishing story there. Now, some other scores coming in. Northern Ireland, the first time we've mentioned them this weekend. They're at 3 and 2 with a good win over Kelvin Chu's Singapore team. Well done to them. You've just seen Iceland defeat Chile. So the Chileans, they had a draw. So they're at 3-1-1, still in excellent shape. Iceland, though, at 4-1. Other teams at 4-1. Mike Rohn leading the Philippines. Zach Sasaki, Jan Ang is on that team. The Philippines are at 4-1. They defeated Latvia. That's Andres Prost's team. So they're at 3-2. Jo Larsson leads the Swedish team to 4-1 over Malaysia. They're now at 3-2. We believe, we haven't had confirmed in front of me yet that USA won, but off to my left, Luis Scott Vargas is smiling. That probably means USA won, although with Luis, you never know. Yes, in fact, I have that in my ear now. USA are up to 4-1. So great job by Owen and the boys. Paul Yeam amongst that team. Kevin Jones, of course, in there as well. So we've got a couple of rounds of Modern still to go. We're going to get things paired up just as soon as we can, and then head on back down to the feature match area for the penultimate round in just a little bit. But yesterday evening, a whole bunch of team captains came into the news desk to tell us about their preparation, their hopes for the tournament, and we're going to string a few of those together in the next few minutes for you. Don't you dare go anywhere. We'll see you in just a little bit.
I am here with Owen Turtenwald, team captain for the United States. Welcome, Owen. Everybody here?
Oh, yeah.
Everybody made
here.
it? No problem?
Whole
Everybody's
team,
in town? Because you actually have already been in town for the Grand Prix last weekend, right?
Yep, I played the Grand Prix last weekend in Rotterdam.
And then you came here. Now, as far as testing goes, right, this is always the big question. Being from the United States, huge company.
Technical, sorry.
Yep. Check, check, check.
Yeah.
Sitting here with Patrick Dickmann, the captain of Team Germany. Patrick, tell me about the German team this year and how you guys prepared.
Well, the team is for people, of course, and I actually know all of them, so I like my team overall. It's first of all me, of course. Then there's Mark Tobias, also like an experienced player who's been playing several Pro Tours. It was actually a pretty close race between the two of us. I mean, he finished the season with 28 Pro points, but he couldn't attend the last Pro Tour.
Oh no!
Yeah, I think he had to attend
because you gave him a flat tire.
No, I didn't. Yeah, we were joking about that, but no, I think if he went to a birthday or something like that, he had to go, a wedding, something like that.
Sure.
And then there's Fabian, and I don't know him very much, but he was top 8 at GP in last year in Paris, and so he also has Pro Tour experience. And the last one is Dennis Nolte, who I also I think I've been knowing him basically since I've been playing Magic.
Wow.
Because we're from the same area, and lately he's been putting up good results in the local, in the regional area, so I've been happy with our team.
How important is it in team competition to have a good sense of camaraderie across the team for everyone to get along and know each other and have a trust level like that?
I think it's super important because, I mean, especially if you're like discussing decks and things like that. I mean, of course, like if you have some confidence in your ability to play, at first you will listen to yourself, right? So you like have to also accept other opinions, like listen to your teammates. If they, for example, point out something, like you might actually pick something useful up and learn something. So in my opinion, it's very important. I mean, last week in Rotterdam, I was playing with my brother and a good friend of mine, and I think it's very important to have a team that you like can put trust into, and where you just know like you can let them play, let them do their thing. So it's pretty important.
How many members of the team got a chance to sample Team Limited last weekend in Rotterdam?
All of us, yeah. I mean, it was close for Mark Tobias because last minute one of his team members had to cancel the trip, but I think they found a replacement, and so all of us played there. At least for me, it was a great experience. It was very important for me to play there, and I definitely learned a lot. Like we finished in 17th place in the end, which was actually the best result for me that I ever put up in a team. Like this was the first time that I made day 2 at a team event, and
congratulations.
Thank you. And yeah, I definitely learned a lot. Like, I mean, Team Sealed is a lot different from regular Sealed or regular Limited, and card evaluations are very different too. So it was a great experience.
So Team Limited, that's going to be the first rounds, but you've got to feel pretty excited about going into an event where Modern is going to be such a big part of it, and you've got to be a great resource for your team with all your experience playing Modern.
Yes, sort of. I mean, of course, this is team, so it's not like the 3 of us all playing, for example, Affinity, which is a deck that I like a lot. And but I think I have enough experience in Modern to rate, like to look at a deck and know if it's good or not. And I think I also have a good sense for an expected metagame. It's a little difficult because Mark is in our starting roster all the time, and just like me, he has an affinity for certain decks.
Okay.
And so I just let him do his thing, but his deck is pretty greedy, so it's taking up a lot of slots.
Right. It's Team Unified Modern, so if someone's playing one deck, there's like all sorts of decks that'll conflict with that.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, at first I thought, like for about a week or so, I thought it is just like Unified Standard, where you can just split the cards. And I thought, no, there's no restrictions
you
at all.
put one Scalding Tarn in a deck,
about to say.
No Scalding Tarns can go anywhere else.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you have to do that in Modern, right? Because all the decks, they're not playing, I don't know, 4 Steam Vents. You could put 2 in this deck and put 2 in the other one. And so the restriction is actually, it's not easy to find decks, because I didn't want to play sub-R decks. Like, I don't want to take an important card for a deck and be like, yeah, no, you don't need Lightning Bolt. You can just play Burst Lightning. It's just, I didn't want any downgrades. So it's not easy to find a good configuration.
All right, no downgrades for Patrick Dickmann, and he's hoping that he can upgrade all the way to Sunday here at the World Magic Cup.
Hopefully.
I am here with Peter and Pascal Vieren from Team Belgium. Welcome, gentlemen. You made it.
Yes.
Just take a deep breath.
Yeah.
Now, this is a really special story. You guys are brothers and playing together on the World Magic Cup team here. How did this happen?
Well, as soon as I got captain, Pascal said, okay, I'm going to play the WMCQs, because he's kind of in retirement now. But yeah, for the WMCQs, he wanted to play them.
So he was determined to play it. Now, did you get a chance to actually watch him play, or were you at those
I was at the tournament, and I watched him during the top 8.
Oh, yeah.
But then I had to leave for the finals.
No.
Because I had to take the last train home, and so I couldn't watch the finals, and I was super stressed about it. And then there was a live stream, and I tried to follow it on my phone.
Yeah.
But then I got in the train station, and the internet kept falling away.
Oh no.
And then I had to, I chatted to a friend who was watching the live stream, so I got third-hand information of the game.
So your friend was relaying you the turns and what was happening.
But it was really
Pascal.
terrible, because his comments were like, oh no, and then I was like, what?
And but then you did end up winning, Pascal.
I won the finals 2-1.
And you eventually found out about it, Peter. And I'm sure you were overjoyed.
Yeah, I immediately called him, and
and then filling out the rest of the team. You guys have a high confidence level. Were you able to get together and test?
Yeah, we test a lot of Team Seal together with Branko, who will be playing the Team Seal with us. Mm-hmm. Modern is mostly individual testing, but yeah, we're very confident in Jerome, especially to carry the Modern.
You feeling pretty good, Pascal? You said that the last Pro Tour you played was San Diego 2010.
Yeah, that's
so
right.
It's been a little while for you.
It's been a while since I've been on the Pro Tour, so it's kind of But I'm feeling confident. I tested quite a bit, and so we have a good team, I think.
Who's the better player?
I used to be, but Peter's better now.
That's a good, safe answer. Hey, good luck to you guys in Team Belgium tomorrow.
Okay.
Yep. I'm here with Owen Turtenwald, team captain from the United States. Owen, welcome. Now, you've actually already been here in Rotterdam for a week. You played in the GP, correct?
Yep, I played the Team GP.
Now, as you transition towards your focus on the World Magic Cup, were you able to actually get in a room with your teammates and do some testing? I mean, you're used to the Pro Tour where, that's mandatory.
Yeah, that actually happened for the first time today. Today was the first time that the four of us had all been in the same room. I met a few of them at the Grand Prix in Dallas, and I'd played against a few of these guys, and we've been talking on Facebook, and so I know them, but this is the first time we had like a dedicated strategy meeting.
Now, when it comes to, you're the captain, right? Both in title, but also, being the best player on the team, being the most experienced player on the team. Do you feel a special role with that where, people do look to you to make the decisions for the team and to kind of guide the ship?
I do actually, because not only are they looking to me for advice on what decks to play in Modern and what cards to look for in Team Sealed, I mean, they're kind of expecting me to take a leadership role and kind of explain to them. A lot of them have never played in anything like this tournament before. It's a very unique structure. So, and they also want to improve as players, so they're looking to me, yeah.
Now, speaking of that unique structure of the World Magic Cup specifically, this is your second time representing the United States. Do you feel like that gives you a big edge? Already knowing kind of how this whole team thing goes, what the pitfalls are, that kind of stuff?
I think it definitely does give me an advantage. And the other thing is, when I was the captain 2 years ago, the USA team actually made top 4. So not only am I looking to improve on that, but also I feel like I know the tournament pretty well, and it's just given the team, my teammates, an extra bit of confidence because they know that we can win. They know we've come this far before, so they're confident in me and the team.
How confident are you?
Oh,
yeah, all the way.
10 out of 10. I always think that I'm going to do well in the tournaments I play, but now I have teammates that are extremely capable, just very excellent players, so I think that we're probably the favorites.
Ooh, probably the favorites. Well, good luck, Owen.
Yep.
Hello everyone, Rich Hagan, Brian David Marshall and Hall of Famer Luis Scott Vargas. Welcome to the desk. Luis, everyone assumes that you just go out partying in between rounds. We sign off at the news desk and then we put our feet up for an hour and you're done. tell us about where you were during that last round.
I went to go spectate Team USA versus Team Colombia match, and I got to see a really cool game of Kevin Jones playing his Grixis Delver deck that he's played forever. Actually coming into the tournament, Owen said, here's what we're going to do for Modern. You're going to play Grixis Delver, and we're going to build 2 decks that fit alongside it. That was the plan all along.
Awesome.
At no point were they not on that, because Owen, he told me he really likes how Kevin plays this Delver deck, and I watched Kevin win a game against Affinity, where he baited out a Ravager so perfectly, leaving just Watery Grave up. His opponent went all in on Ravager, and he had Murderous Cut to snap it off. So it was really patient. It was, I think, really well set up, and I was impressed.
I've got to say, I mean, it's a terrific performance by the Colombians. This is Diego Alejandro Saleta, the captain there. They are still at 3-2, despite that loss to USA, but 4-1. You would think, given the makeup of the team, that looks from the outside to be maybe 1 win above the curve right now.
Yeah, I mean, they're very happy with their start. Team USA is happy with how they're playing, and they seem to be having a good time.
BDM, let's stay in North America, because north of the border, Canada, for the first time in World Magic Cup history, seem to have got it together. They've had great teams year after year, but now they are delivering on that promise.
Yeah, when I talked to Alexander Hayne about how he felt about Modern, certain amount of confidence with Jacob Wilson playing on your team, if you have to be in a Modern format, he's like, I'm the 4th best Modern player on the team. He's like, and I know you're probably being a little modest, but feels like the other 2 guys had such a great grasp of Modern and were able to contribute a ton to the Team Unified discussion, and the team was really able to bomb through that as well.
So why don't we take a look at our overall scoreboard here at the World Magic Cup. We'll show you where we are with 2 rounds remaining in Modern. Remember, 73 teams are still playing, and all you have to do is be in the top 48. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go right past this top 20 and go right past, let's take a look at our next 21 through 40, because right now everyone here, so there you see 2 and 3 right now is enough to be in the top 48 with 2 rounds to go. So right now China, Bolivia, Ireland would be comfortably in today 2. Let's take a look at our next page, because now here's the drop zone. Right now, France with Rafael Levy and Jeremy Desani, Brazil with Paulavita Dama Rosa and Thiago Saporito. They are right on the doorstep of elimination with 2 rounds to go. And then if we go down to our final group, this will be 61 through 73. Well, right now they are in the last chance saloon. So there you go. Only Costa Rica without a win right now. If any of those 1 and 4s can turn that into 3 and 4, you see New Zealand at 1 and 4 with Jason Chung leading the charge for them. 3 and 4 could yet get you in. So that's where we are. Let's go back to the head of affairs, though, because it is our top 20 where the bulk of the action is. 2 5-0s, Canada and Belgium, just great teams on both sides. Our feature match this round, though, is amongst the 4 and 1s, and we are going to see the Dominican Republic up against Finland. So Louis, a quick look tomorrow. You're going to come into the news desk and talk all about the modern matchups, some of the big matchups, and get a sense of what each deck is good or bad against. But just walk us through these 3. So Table A is going to see Fabio Portes of Dominican Republic against Lori Pisper of Finland. That is Naya Burn against Lantern Control, which I think looks like Naya Burn over here and Lantern Control over there somewhere.
Burn seems like it's ahead in that matchup depending on how the Lantern deck is configured, but all its cards are so redundant that the Lantern lock is just not as effective as against normal decks.
All right, the middle table is the captain for the Dominican Republic. That's Calpolican Lopez Yapor with Infect against Matti Kuisma, who is playing Dredge for Finland. So Infect on Dredge, a matchup that we've seen all over the tables.
It seems like Infect is ahead here because it's just got a faster clock. Where the Conflagrates show up is a big determinant, but Inkmoth Nexus is a critical card.
Okay, and then table C, Jairo Balbuena with Bant Eldrazi for the Dominican Republic against Leo Lahonen of Finland. He's playing Blue-Red Kiln Fiend. So Bant Eldrazi against Blue-Red Kiln Fiend.
I'd rather be on the Blue-Red Kiln Fiend side of things. Thing in the Ice and Kiln Fiend are both really good against a deck full of giant monsters.
Well, certainly someone from Finland will be happy to hear you say that, because you went, yeah, Naya Burn, that's Dominican Republic. Infect, that's Dominican Republic. So maybe there's a favourite there for Finland with the blue-red kiln feed. And then the coaches, Thomas Tuomanen for Finland and Ricardo Sasso for the Dominican Republic. So have we seen any surprises so far, Louise? We were talking last round together about, what might be our match of the day. And it's been tough because it's just been sort of workmanlike Magic, a lot of the matches we've seen.
I got to see Germany and actually their middle player go off with Jeskai Ascendancy, which is very sweet. And Germany's actually 4-1 right now, playing against the United States this round.
That's pretty awesome. I think we should get that deck in here, because I'm going to guess that is the only Jeskai Ascendancy in the build. I think Frank Carsten said there was one. Sounds like you found it, so we should certainly take a look at that. Players, by the way, they are shuffling in the feature match area. You're missing nothing. Looks to me like Finland have a double mulligan going on right now. Louise, it looks like in past years, the unified aspect of the tournament has really thrown a wrench in things. It looks like because of the size of Modern, that has not happened this year.
No, it's certainly night and day compared to Unified Standard. Unified Standard, it was really tough to be able to build decks that could cast your spells effectively. The card pool was small enough. Modern, you just don't see that. You see a lot of just excellent Modern decks that just don't overlap in cards, so the teams are not really having to make many sacrifices in deck quality in order to fit all three decks.
BDM, your sense of how Modern is shaping up here at the World Magic Cup?
We've watched a lot of unlikely matchups. We saw Lantern versus Ad Nauseam, so I think we still haven't seen quite how it's going to shake out yet.
All right, so it is time for the Dominican Republic against Finland. It's time for round 6 of the World Magic Cup.